Yeah, welcome to Shine Text, and in this video I'm going to talk about the cell cycle. I'm going to talk about the interphase and the M phase. So to start with, we are going to define what the cell cycle really is. So the cell cycle is nothing but the sequence of growth, DNA replication, growth and cell division that all cells go through. The cell cycle is the sequence of growth, DNA replication, growth again, and the cell division that all cells go through. And this process or this sequence is divided into two phases. It is divided into the interphase and the M phase, which is also called the mitosis phase. Okay, so in this video I'm going to talk about the interphase part, and in the other video I'm going to talk about the M phase or the mitosis phase. Okay, so the interphase is nothing but the time during which the cell is preparing for cell division by undergoing both the cell growth and DNA replication in an orderly manner. So interphase is the time during which the cell is preparing for cell division by undergoing both the cell growth and the DNA replication in an orderly manner. So it is also divided into three phases. It is divided into three phases. It is divided into the G1 phase, the S phase, and the G2 phase. So let's start by looking at the G1 phase. What happens during the G1 phase? Okay, but before that, let's look at this diagram which summarizes our video. So this is the cell cycle. This is the cell cycle. It's the sequence of cell growth, as we said, and DNA replication, and growth again, and cell division there. So these three sequences, three processes, which is 1, 2, and 3, are what we call the interphase, and this other part there is what we call the mitotic phase. Okay, so let's start by looking at the G1 phase under the interphase. So under G1 phase, what happens to the cell under the G1 phase of interphase is that the cell continues grow. It continues to grow by increasing in size, and it also, the synthesis of new proteins and organelles also continues. The new proteins are formed and new organelles are formed. Okay, so let's look at the picture. So this is the picture which symbolizes the G1 phase. As you can see, the nucleus has grown in size. So this is the nucleus inside there. It has become larger, and the inside organelles such as the chromosomes have condensed. They've become visible. So that's what happens under the G1 phase. So the S phase, we said we have three phases: the G1 phase, S phase, and the G2 phase. So under the S phase, what happens is that the amount of DNA per cell doubles. The amount of DNA per cell doubles, and the DNA replicates. It replicates. So the DNA replicates, and the chromosomes have two sister chromatids. The chromosomes have two sister chromatids. So under this phase, DNA replicates and the amount of DNA per cell doubles. The chromosomes have two sister chromatids. So that's what happens under the S phase. So let's move on to G2 phase. So under the G2 phase, what happens is that the cell growth continues. The growth of the cell continues. More organelles and molecules required for cell division are produced. Molecules like the microtubules and some other molecules which we are going to discuss in the next video. Okay, so let's look at the picture. So this is the picture which shows what happens under the G2 phase. As you can see inside there, the chromosomes which were singular in under G1 phase have doubled under the S phase. So under the S phase, these chromosomes have doubled, they've become twice. So, and they are more condensed and more visible under the G2 phase. So this is all what happens under the G2 phase. And even the nuclear the nucleus inside there, it's also larger, it continues to grow. Remember we said the cell continues to grow and the organelles inside there which are required for cell division are produced. Okay, so this is the whole process: the G1 phase, the S phase, and the G2 phase. As you can see, under the G1 phase we only had a single chromosome. Now here it has doubled. So this is what we call the DNA replication under the S phase. That's where replication takes place, and here it just condenses and becomes larger and becomes visible. So these two strands of chromosomes are what we call the sister chromatids. So that's all for this in this video. Let's look at this exercise. Remember, you can pause the video and fill in these blank spaces. After that, come back and check your answers. So these are the answers for that exercise. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you don't like the video, please hit that unlike icon under there, and also don't forget to comment